The world today knows the swastika to be a symbol of Hitler's crimes. The mere mention and depiction of swastika triggers talks of anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. But how did Hitler arrive at the Nazi symbol, and what did he call it? Hitler explains this in his autobiography, Mein Kampf. Hitler refers to the Nazi symbol as Hakenkreuz. It appears 8 times in his book. But today, Google translates Hakenkreuz to swastika. But strangely, Haken and Kreuz separately translates to hooked cross. Kreuz in Germany means cross and was even used to name medallions and badges for the German military. For instance, Balkenkreuz means beam cross. Ritterkreuz means knight's cross. How then did the Hakenkreuz become the swastika?
Cross is a symbol of Christianity. Hakenkreuz means hooked cross. So when did this become swastika? The answer is hidden behind 2,000 years of history, which culminated in the brutal persecution of 6 million Jewish people.
Nazi Germany was not the only country using this symbol. The Finnish Air Force used this symbol from 1918 to 2020. They called it Hakeritsi, which Google translates correctly to Hakenkreuz. Similarly, in the County Council headquarters of Britain, built in 1939, on the uniform of the 45th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army, in France, on the airplanes of Air Force Unit N-124, and on the ruble printed after 1917 in Russia, the West was full of symbols that looked like the Hakenkreuz. In the USA, the cover of the 1913 yearbook of Westfield High School shows a swastika-like symbol which they call the Gamidian. The word has hidden roots in the West. In 1894, a famous book was written, The Migration of Symbols. In Chapter 2, the author writes that Dr. Schliemann has found the Gamidian in the excavations of Troy. And in this book, he explains the meaning of the word Gamidian, a type of Christian cross. The word swastika is not used here. Further, it was written in this book that Hindus make Gamidian, i.e., a kind of cross, on their books on New Year's Day, not the swastika.
In a stamp published by Hitler's government in 1938, Hitler is shown standing outside a church with a Latin cross on top and a hooked cross flag.
Every division of Hitler's armed forces were marked, had a cross and a hooked cross on every flag, whether it was the Air Force, the Army, or the Navy.
League of Nazi Women, an award for German women, the Honor Cross of German Mothers, an award to honor mothers of German soldiers, or the German Order Medal. Even the Nazi German aircrafts all featured the cross and the hooked cross together.
On November 21st, 1922, the New York Times published the first article about Hitler, in which his ardent followers were called Hakenkreuzler, which means followers of the Hakenkreuz. In the same article, the word Hakenkreuz was used in about 4 different places for Hitler's symbol, and it was said that this Hakenkreuz uprising of Hitler's is a hit. The Basque Museum in Bayonne, France, has been issuing its bulletin for more than 80 years in French. In the 1936 bulletin, the museum called the sign the Basque Cross. Further, it says that the swastika does not exist in the Basque region, although crosses of this type are very common.
In the 19th century, Professor Max Müller also strongly said that the symbols on the archaeological or historical remnants of Troy should not be called a swastika.
The word Hakenkreuz is present in the 1798 Adlong Dictionary of German Words, and it is described as, quote, a cross decorated with hooks, unquote. But the word swastika is not seen anywhere in it, which implies the German society knew Hakenkreuz as a cross, not as swastika.
In 1931, Hitler's book Mein Kampf is translated into English by E.T.S. Dugdale, in which Hakenkreuz is translated as hooked cross. Never once does the book mention swastika. This was when Hitler had not yet come into power, but had become popular. Hitler came to power in 1933 and without wasting any time, started executing a script of the persecution of Jewish people. The script began by snatching the human rights of Jews and ended with snatching their right to life. In 1939, Hitler destroyed Poland. Britain also jumped into World War II, and in the same year, Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, is retranslated into English, this time by a man named James Murphy.
This rapidly became the most popular English translation of Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. And in here, every mention of Hakenkreuz is translated to swastika, and thus began the process of changing a symbol of peace and well-being to an emblem of extreme evil and hatred.
In his book, Hitler says that the Hakenkreuz will be deadly for the Jews. This was a sign under which a horrifying genocide took place, and whose origins could be traced to Christianity. This would have been the biggest stigma on Christianity in entire history.
James Murphy, who translated Hitler's book in English, was himself a Christian priest. Could someone associated with Christianity tolerate such a big stigma on Christianity? Is this why James Murphy translated the Hakenkreuz into the swastika?
Whether this was a mischief of an individual or a bigger concerted plan, James Murphy is not here today to explain. But the fact that Murphy translated incorrectly is indisputable. The unassailable truth is that Hitler never called the Nazi symbol a swastika. Others falsely equated Hakenkreuz with the swastika. In spite of this, initially, the swastika did not become the default name for the Nazi symbol.
American culture. In a 1946 publication of essays on American culture and literature in Arizona Quarterly, Hitler and his followers were referred to as Gamadion-minded.
Around the same time, in the Journal of Education, volume 127, published in 1944, the Nazi symbol was called Filfot or Gamadion. Then how did this symbol become swastika for the common man? For clues to this answer, see this scene from a 1959 Hollywood movie, Prohibido.
You know, that used to be our shoulder patch till we switched to the Thunderbird. Christianity? The swastika. That's an old American Indian sign that Hitler copied from us. Believe it or not, the 45th Division used to wear the swastika right here.
An American soldier wearing a swastika?
Well, we had it long before Adolf got the idea.
Film, a popular medium that reaches door to door. Over time, the use of swastika for the Nazi symbol spread to every book written on Hitler and in every article in every type of media. Media can create powerful narratives which a common man cannot decipher. In a single generation, media can even falsify a hard fact. And this is how swastika became completely associated with Hitler and Nazism. This lie has been living and growing in the minds of people for decades now. But for how long?
Hitler never, ever used swastika.
Hitler benutzte das Wort Hakenkreuz. Das bedeutet nicht, dass es Swastik.
It was Hakenkreuz.
A symbol used in church.
which was wrongly turned into swastika.
The glory of swastika should be restored.
Swastika is a symbol of our civilization.
Swastik comes from a sandhi of su, or well, plus asti, or being. The first set of 4 perpendicular arms are drawn clockwise from the outside in, and the center is representative of Brahm, all energies converging into a centrifugal force of our Creator. The first arm is from top to center and denotes dharma, or the duties instilled by eternal consciousness. The second arm is from the right to center and denotes arth, or values or earnings. The third arm is bottom to center and denotes kam, or desires. And the fourth arm is left to center, and it denotes moksha, or liberation due to fulfillment. After muktis or mokshas, the next 4 special experiences which can be felt are depicted as a second set of 4 arms drawn next. First is sayuj, or oneness with eternal consciousness. Second is salokya, or oneness with omnipresence. Third is sarupya, or oneness with a beautiful creator. And fourth is samipya, or oneness or closeness with our creator. These fulfilling experiences are then drawn as a third set of 4 slant serifs. First is man, or mind. Second is buddhi, or intellect. Third is chit, or equilibrium. And fourth is ahankar, or ego. Lastly, the swastik is completed by bindus or dots to symbolize the alankar of life, representing first, prem, or love, second, shraddha, or belief, third, vishwas, or trust, and fourth, samarpan, or surrender. Swastik